Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Sofi Novita Ramadhani and I'm from Science Education Class U, and my student number is 052. So here I'm gonna make a little video about what I've already resumed about learning a topic about continuity equations and Bernoulli equations. I hope this video will help you guys. So first here I'm gonna tell you about the continuity equations. So this is what I've already resumed about the continuity equations in a very simple way and short. So in my opinion, that continuity equations is a mathematical expressions about the net amount of the mass following to a finite surface equals the increase in the mass of that surface. So and based on these explanations that I've already set up on my mind, that I've already imagined about the surface of the pipe. So here I'm gonna tell you about these explanations using an example. So I have an example of the pipe. So here pass it on to meaning of the continuity equations here. Believe that the inflows and outflows and change in the storage of a mass system must be unbalanced, and is all in and in the and it's also believed that the mass fluids which entering from the other side of pipe will be out in the output sections, and the mass fluids will be equals as the results. So in here we have a pipe. As in examples, pipe, there's like two holes in here, two holes. There is like a holes A and a holes B. So in these two different holes, I'm gonna cut this into a positions 1 and positions 2. So based on the continuity equations here, it believes that when the mass fluids entering from the enter holes to the out holes, the mass fluid which out from the out holes will be equally the same the amount when it enters to the first hole or the hole A. So in the continuity equations, and simply we'll tell you about the equally and the same mass of a fluids from the entering to the out is the same to each others. So continuity equations have multiple situations. So here I'm gonna tell you about those multiple situations which relate to continuity equations. The first one, continuity equations and steady flow. In steady flow, the velocity of the fluid flow at a point is equals to the velocity of flow of other fluid particles passing through that point. The fluid flows also do not intersect each other. The flow lines are parallel. Therefore, the mass of the fluid entering one end of the pipe must be the same as the mass of the fluid leaving at the other end. So if the fluid has a certain mass, it enters the pipe large diameter, then the fluid will come out in the small diameter as fixed mass. So by the meaning of these explanations, that I'm gonna give you an example with the same pipe, but it into different pipe. So we gonna have a little like flow lines are parallel here. So we can have positions 1 and positions 2 same as the before explanations, and the position 1 and positions 2 a little bit up and low. So in the steady flow situations, believe that the entering one end of the pipe must be the same as the mass of the fluid leaving at the other end. So it's also believed that this pipe with a different size of diameter and as example, if we have large diameter as the enter and a small diameter as the out the out section, in the steady flow believes that once the mass fluid enters the large diameter for large diameter, then the mass fluid will come out from small diameter as the fixed mass. So, and here is also believed that if we pass it, if we look up in the continuity equations at the first explanations before, that we believe that the mass fluid which enter will be equally the same as the out. So in the situations or of steady flow, it's also the same as before. That it believed that once the mass fluids enter from the large diameter, it will it will be it will be out as the outcome from the small diameter pipe as a fixed mass, and a fixed mass is the result of the mass of fluid. So in the second situations here, I have incompressible fluids of continuity equations. In incompressible fluids, density in a mass, the type of fluid is always the same every point in its path. So in incompressible fluids here, I'm gonna give you a little summary and as example that I have a cross A1 and cross A2 which produce their own equations. So A1 and A2 already have their own equations, but if we already have two equations here. So based on continuity equations that I already told you before, that I believe that a continuity equations that tells the mass fluid enters is equally the same as the outcome from the out sections. So we're gonna use these explanations into a compressible fluids. So in the incompressible fluids, there is a new equations from combinations. There is like A1 times V1 equals A2 times V2. And here we believe that the what enters is also equally the same as the out. And from this equation shows that the volume flow or discharge is always the same at any point along the flow pipe or tube. When the pipe sections decrease, the fluid flow rate decrease. On the contrary, when the pipe sections becomes large, the fluid flow rate becomes small. So here I have a third situations for the continuity equations. It's the opposite from a compressible fluid. It is a compressible fluid. Compressible fluid is the density of the fluid is always the same. In other words, the density of a fluid changes when it comes compressed. If we omit that the density of the fluid from the equations in this case, the density of the fluid is still included, with a reference to the equations that has been passed on previously. If the fluid is compressed, then its type changes. Conversely, if the fluid is compressible, its density is always the same, so we can eliminate it. So I've already told you about what I assume, what about my little resume for the topic continuity equations. So here I'm gonna show you about what I've already learned about Bernoulli equations. Bernoulli equations can be viewed as a conservation of energy law for flowing fluid. We saw that Bernoulli equation was the result of using the fact that any extra kinetic or potential energy gained by a system of fluid is caused by external work done on the system. So what I've learned and resumed and what I've already brought about my little resume about Bernoulli equations. Bernoulli equations is basically work between passed on the energy with an extra energy kinetic. So I've already looked up for the example here, that the example is about the two energy with the help and the usage of the extra kinetic, and this combine will be having a result of equations which these results come from the potential energy and extra energy kinetic. So what I've assumed about simple Bernoulli equations, that Bernoulli equations is basically work between extra energy kinetic and a potential energy. So that's enough for me. I hope this video can help you. I'm sorry I have any fault at these presentations and how I explain these topics. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.